Cool. First of all, I'd like to thank you guys for coming out. My name is Michael Vevjanchik. I introduced myself earlier to all of you. Basically, I work for Dynalink Telecom. I got Norm in the back too. If you guys need anything, he's been helping me out. Basically, I work for Dynalink Telecom. We've been in the business for about 15 years. We come from the Nortel side of things. So that's why I'm thinking maybe not as many people are coming by, because we're talking about mainly Nortel specific things here, but you know, everybody's going to make the transition slowly, and it's a nice start. Basically, we've been in business, like I said, around 15 years. We started doing professional services for MAT, Activity Telephony Manager, and Telephony Manager. That was our core business. So basically, we were helping people set up software, implement it on the Nortel-based PBXs, and how to administer them, and we did training. So we've been doing that for a really long time now. As time went on, we've gone on and we started developing other products. We have a call accounting and moves, ads, changes product called Stratatel Premium that does Avaya and Nortel, so that might be good for anybody that's transitioning over. We also have a product called Vigilant, which is alarm monitoring for your Avaya PBXs or your Nortel PBXs. So we're kind of the in-between to help the people that are moving over that have a little bit of Avaya and a little bit of a Nortel, and as you're moving on and progressing through, eventually the Nortel stuff's going to go out. I don't know how long that's going to take, but eventually they're planning on doing that. But we're kind of moving along with that process ever since Avaya came in with Nortel, and we're just going along trying to figure out the best way we could help our customers. So that's pretty much a little bit about our company. Thank you very much for coming out to our presentation. I know there's a lot of competition out here. There's a lot of presentations. I know I couldn't get to all the ones that I wanted to get to, but I know they're recording everything, so I got a mic on. So I'm going to try to repeat any questions you have later on. So don't think I'm crazy or anything. I'm just going to be repeating it just for the recording, because then people could go along with the slides later on. Basically today we're going to be talking about billing and station administration in a unified communications management environment. So what that means is anybody that's on a Nortel switch, a CS1000, release 6.0, 7.0, or 7.5, you're going to be familiar with some of this stuff. You might actually already have it if you're not using it already. We're going to be talking a little bit about TM, but just kind of how we're transitioning through it. And then I'm going to show you guys, you know, kind of how to walk around the UCM a little bit. So hopefully that's something that you guys would be interested in. So we'll get through there. So I'm just going to go over to the next slide here. And this is our agenda. So I'm going to start off talking about billing, unified communications management, and you. So what is billing? Some people, I don't know how familiar you guys are with it, so I'm going to go over the basics of how it works, what the call detail records are, stuff like that. And then we're going to talk about where do you go with UCM, because UCM is not giving you a billing package, at least as of now. Maybe later on they're going to add one, but for the versions that I'm talking about, there is no call accounting piece to it. So we're going to talk about where can we go if we want to do that. After that, we're going to talk about the station administration. So if you want to administer your phones, if you want to do moves, adds, and changes, add a key to your phone, add a name to your phone, things like that. So I'm just going to kind of give you a little overview with some screenshots of where you would click around, just very basic, just to give you an idea of it. And then we'll just talk about what we talked about, and then we'll have a quick Q&A. If you guys can, you know, it's a small room, so if you have questions, go ahead and ask them. If you can, try to hold them till the end, just so I could run through my whole spiel, and then I'll be all yours to try to answer anything I can. If I can't answer it for you, I'll do my best, but if I can't, I'll be happy to get your info and then try to answer it for you at a later time. It is Vegas, right? So maybe some stuff's not in my head right now. It's my first time here. I'm enjoying it. Hopefully you are too. So is there any questions before I get going? Awesome. Thank you. All right. So first we're going to talk about billing, unified communications management, and you. So what is billing? For most of you, it might be call accounting. I'll give you the good definition here. It's a process of putting together all call detail information for allocation and analysis of a company's telecom costs. Now, that's a big definition for something that's technically simple. It's pretty much using the information that you get out of your phone system. Every time you pick up the phone and you hang it up, there's a whole string of information there that you could use for lots of different reasons. We have customers that use it just to audit their employees, maybe just to know, this employee at night when they're working, you can see that they're talking on the phone for a couple hours. Maybe they want to monitor that, make sure that, they're using their work time efficiently. Some companies use it to maybe even prevent lawsuits. I had an end user from a hospital. We had to get data from 3 years back that they had to prove that certain calls were not made or were made. So that's also very important information. You want to keep that data. Basically, that's how it works. Every time you pick up the phone, you dial out a number, and the other person picks up and you hang up, you get something called a call detail record, or CDR. So this is what Nortel PBXs spit out all the time. Now, most of your PBXs, they should come with it available. I'm pretty sure it's a standard thing, but you might need to get it turned on if you're not using it now. So I have some customers come up and ask me, how can I get this going? Well, you need to talk to some of your PBX technicians and get them to turn it on. You need to turn on CDR on the switch, and you need to turn it on all the trunks. So all the trunks are all your lines going out to the real world. So if you have 3 trunks, but you only have CDR on 2, you're going to miss some calls because some calls will get routed out on the 3rd trunk, which is not a good thing. If you're going to be doing CDR, you want to go all the way, right? You don't want to go in it half-stepped. So that's what a CDR records is. So these records, they contain a lot of information, and there's different formats of it. There's a Nortel new and an old. Usually people use old. The new one gives you a lot more information. The old one's a little bit more laid back. It gives you just everything you really need to know. So I have an example of CDR here. It might be a little bit hard for you guys to look, but you could download my presentation later on if you want to look at it. Let me see if I could get this laser pointing working here. You know what? I'm just going to go up. That's not as fun. So basically, this is our CDR record, and it's a little bit cleaned up here, but it's pretty raw. It just has the very basic information. If you were to look at the actual raw CDR from the switch, it would be a bunch of characters separated by commas, like in Excel, a comma-separated value spreadsheet, if you've ever seen those, right? You could open it up in Notepad even on your computer, but it would be thousands of records separated by lines. So it's kind of hard to read, just by looking at it. But if you really want to, you can do it. That's why people have all the call accounting software out there to process it for you. So over here we have the originating extension. So you'll see it's coming out from 4915. That's the extension it came out of. We also have the trunk number it came out of. So it's saying that 4915 made a call and it went out a certain trunk. So that's a good indication that the phone call is outgoing because it had to go through a trunk and go out to the outside world. It also gives you the time, the date, the duration, and even the digits dialed over here. So you'll see here the digits dialed, it says 1555, but it's got 87,000 on the top of it. So that's your actual trunk number that it went out of. And that's what you use the call accounting software to cut it off, because that number doesn't make sense right now. But if you just look at the 155, okay, that's a long distance call to a certain place. So that's pretty much our CDR record, and your PBX is spitting these out all the time if you have it turned on. So how do I collect this data? I have all this CDR data coming out of my switch. How do I collect it? Some people, I don't know if you had Telephony Manager, if you've ever used it. Telephony Manager came with a program called Data Buffering and Access. And it was kind of running on your server, and it would sit there, connect to the PBX, and just grab those records. So it could sit there and collect them as long as you had enough hard drive space for a file to keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And then you would use a program, whether it's TM or something else, to collect that file and process it. Another thing that we could do is we could use buffer boxes. With Unified Communications Management, it does not collect CDR for you. It doesn't have that data buffering and access piece. Maybe later on they'll do something like that, but as of now, from what I know, we don't have it. I'm going to try to get that info out of them later, see if they're ever going to do it. But what you're going to need is a buffer device or a buffer box. And I don't know if you guys ever used those, but basically those buffer boxes, it's pretty much like you can think of it as like a smart external hard drive. You'd hook it up to your PBX, and you could program it. So it's a little bit smarter than just a hard drive, but you could program it to do certain things, but basically it would just collect those records. They come in different shapes and sizes. Some can hold more data, some can hold less, depending on your call volume, right? some customers might be getting call volumes of thousands of calls a day. Some might be getting a couple hundred. So it depends how much calls you get, how big of a buffer box you need. So these buffer boxes, they'll store it in real time. Now, the PBX has a buffer of its own, but it's usually very small. It depends on the PBX. So it depends how many calls you get. Again, it might be up and over really quick. So if you're looking at a couple days back, your buffer on your PBX might not hold it anymore. So that's why these buffer boxes are good. Other programs that do the collections.